You are asleep. You have no words for what you are experiencing. You have no concept yet of dream or night or sleep. But something is happening behind your eyes and it feels completely real. You are running. The grass is impossibly tall. Something enormous is behind you. You cannot see it, but you know, with a certainty that lives in your body rather than your mind, that it is there. Your legs pump, your chest burns, and then your foot catches on something and you are falling through open air, and you jolt awake in the dark with your heart slamming against your ribs. You have just experienced something your ancestors experienced for at least 300,000 years, probably far longer. And they did it without a single word. Dreaming did not begin with language. It did not begin with Homo sapiens. It did not begin with the first hominins who walked upright across the East African grasslands. REM sleep, the stage of sleep during which most vivid dreaming occurs, a term that stands for rapid eye movement, is found in virtually every mammal and bird on the planet, and in modified forms even in some reptiles. The neurological machinery of the dream state is so ancient, so deeply conserved across species, that some researchers estimate it predates complex human language by hundreds of millions of years. Your nightly inner cinema is not a modern invention. It is one of the oldest things about you. So what was playing on that ancient screen before your ancestors had words to describe it? To answer that, you need to understand what dreams are actually for. In 1989, a neuroscientist named Matthew Wilson at MIT did something remarkable. He implanted tiny electrodes into the brains of rats and recorded the specific pattern of neural firing as each rat navigated a maze during the day. Then he let the rats sleep, and when REM sleep arrived, those same patterns fired again, in the same sequence, at the same rhythm, as the rats' eyes moved rapidly beneath their closed lids. The rats were dreaming the maze. They were replaying the experience, processing it, consolidating it. They had no language for any of it. They were simply running their brains through the day's most important information, using the only mechanism evolution had given them for the job. Your ancestors were doing the same thing for millions of years before the first word was ever spoken. One of the most compelling theories for why comes from a Finnish cognitive neuroscientist named Antti Revonsuo, who published what he called the threat simulation theory in the year 2000. His argument was this: dreaming evolved in part as a biological rehearsal system. The sleeping brain runs simulations of threatening situations, predators, falls, social conflict, physical danger, giving the organism a chance to practice its responses in an environment where failure costs nothing. A dream about being chased by a predator doesn't kill you, but the neural pathways it activates, the fear response it sharpens, the survival instincts it rehearses, all of that carries directly into waking life. Under Revonsuo's framework, your ancient ancestors weren't dreaming about abstract anxieties. They were dreaming about the actual things that were trying to end their lives. And there were a great many things trying to end their lives. Think about what your ancestors' sleeping brain had to process. Every day of their existence was loaded with life or death sensory information. The smell of a predator on the wind, the crack of a branch in the dark, the sudden silence of birds that signals something large moving nearby, the face of a stranger encountered at a waterhole filed away as an unresolved threat. Matthew Walker, a neuroscientist at the University of California, Berkeley, has described REM sleep as overnight emotional processing, a nightly mechanism by which the brain strips the raw emotional charge from difficult experiences and files them as memory, making them accessible without the original terror intact. For your ancestors, this wasn't a luxury function. It was essential maintenance on a nervous system that was running at maximum threat load every single waking hour. But there is another piece of this that researchers only began to articulate in the past few decades, a piece that changes what you think ancient dreams actually looked like. In 2001, an archaeologist named David Lewis Williams published a landmark analysis of ancient rock art, arguing that many of the images painted deep inside caves across France, Spain, and South Africa were not simple records of animals seen in the waking world. They were records of visions, of internal imagery generated when the human brain enters certain altered neurological states, states that share deep structural similarities with the vivid imagery of dreaming. His analysis of the Chauvet Cave in southern France, home to some of the oldest figurative art ever discovered, dated to roughly 36,000 years ago, featuring lions, rhinoceroses, and mammoths rendered with astonishing skill and movement, raised a striking possibility. The animals your ancient ancestors painted on those cave walls may have first appeared to them not on the open savanna, but inside their own sleeping minds. The lion they dreamed was the lion they feared. The lion they feared was the lion they painted. The art, the fear, and the dream may all have shared the same source. So let's reconstruct a night. It is roughly 40,000 years ago. A group of your ancestors has retreated to a rock shelter as the sun drops below the horizon. They have eaten. The fire is burning low at the shelter's mouth, casting orange light across the stone walls. One by one, they drift into sleep, bodies pressed together for warmth and for safety, the way every social primate sleeps when it is lucky enough to do so. Within a few hours, eyes begin to move beneath closed lids. REM sleep has arrived. What are they dreaming? Almost certainly not language, not sentences, not an internal monologue. The pre-linguistic dream is a different kind of experience entirely. Pure image, pure sensation, pure emotion with no verbal layer running beneath it. Emotion without translation, threat without the word threat. The body knowledge of fear, of running, of falling, of another face inches from yours with its teeth showing, all of it felt with complete immediacy, because there is nothing standing between the experience and the self. No words to reach for, no narrative to impose, just the raw signal of the dreaming brain, flooding the body with information. In some ways, this may have made ancient dreams more vivid than yours, not less, more. The counterintuitive truth that this research points towards is that language, for all its extraordinary power, does something to the dream that is not entirely an improvement. Words give you a way to process experience before sleep, to re-narrate the day's events to yourself, to reframe them, to drain some of their emotional charge through conscious analysis. Your ancestors had none of that. Every unresolved fear, every social tension, every close call with a predator arrived at the sleeping brain completely raw, to be processed entirely in the theater of the dream. The dreaming mind was not one cognitive tool among many. It may have been the primary tool, the main processor, the nightly mechanism by which a species too alert to stop thinking learned every single night how to survive the next day. And the content of those dreams, cross-cultural dream research compiled over decades by scholars including Kelly Bulkley, who has studied dream traditions across cultures and throughout history, consistently shows that the most common human dream themes are remarkably stable across all of humanity. Being chased, falling, losing someone, failing to protect your group, being excluded as an outsider. The physical threat and the social threat braided together, playing on a loop. These are not modern anxieties dressed in ancient clothing. These are the original program, already running long before your ancestors had a single word for any of it. You still run that program, tonight and every night. The dream you have in the small hours, the one where something is chasing you through a space that keeps shifting, where your legs refuse to work the way you need them to, where you wake with your chest heaving and your heart going hard. That dream has been running in some version or another for longer than your species had a name for itself. It predates the cave paintings of Chauvet. It predates the first deliberately shaped stone tool. It predates language and grief and the very concept of tomorrow. You are asleep. You have no words for what you are experiencing. Something is behind you in the dark, and somewhere deeper than language, you already know exactly what to do. You have known since long before you were born.